the last scope that I did, we were still fresh in the experiencing, in this journey with my son being killed, and this journey of dealing with the loss. And now we're now in the, hey, good evening, Karen. We're now in the, we've come through that kind of phase, still grieving, still dealing with that, still crying a lot of tears, tied to hope. Maybe it's me. Try going out and come back in, Akila. I love you. I got these eyelashes now. I can bat my eyelashes. So anyway, but my last scope, was still thick, and it still is thick, but the weight, the burden maybe is lifting a little bit. But I have so much to be thankful for on this Thankful Thursday. And as I'm getting through this process of grieving, and then now we're entering the legal phase. Now we have a court case. The gentleman who killed my son, he did turn himself in. And so we're now in that phase of it. And yesterday we had to go to court, and I saw him for the first time. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I was anxious. I wasn't really sure what that was going to feel like, what that was going to be like. But God met me and his father at breakfast. Because I told him, I said, God, going to have to show me a sign. I need a sign for that God is here. I need a sign God's going to be here. And not even 30 minutes later, my son's father's aunt sent us a text message and dealing with I don't remember the scripture. It was out of Corinthians. But she was talking about releasing all offense, that God can work through you. And so there at the breakfast table, we prayed, and we just asked God, we release all offense, because offense can be a block to whatever God's trying to do through your life. And that was the generalization of her text message to us. And she didn't know that we were sitting at the table really going through it, like trying to prepare ourselves for this court appearance. And God met us there, and it was hard. It was hard. But by the grace of God, we got through that. It was hard, but by the grace of God, we got through that. And, afterwards, we were both kind of like, did we just sit in court and go through that? And we did. But, I can say today on this Thursday that I have so much to be thankful for. And so many of you have prayed and keep praying. Don't stop praying now just because I'm cute. Got my hair and these eyelashes. Keep praying, keep lifting us up, keep holding up the bloodstained banner for us, because it ain't always this cheerful, and still processing all of it, and it's a trip. Like I'm on a trip for real. So, but I have so much to be thankful for, and so on this Thankful Thursday, I'm thankful that I got this beautiful grandson that calls me Granny, and he just continues to remind me of my son when he was a baby. And this journey of grief, I have a lot to be grateful for. This journey is teaching me some things about God, teaching me some things about people, certainly teaching me some things about myself. And so, I'm grateful to be somebody's granny. I've had people say to me, I've never had children. I've never been a grandparent. So thank you for sharing your posts, because they make me laugh, or, you're very blessed, and I'm blessed. I know I tease about being called granny. That's my vanity speaking. But I'm grateful to be somebody's granny. And when he says granny, he says it with such passion. Granny. And I can't, every time he says, I just laugh. I still can't believe I'm a granny at 46, but such is life. But even going through this process of grief, it's taught me a lot about God. It's taught me a lot about God's presence being really, like, I don't know if I have words for it. Yes, I pray one day I'll be able to preach about it and write about it. I'm sure I will be. But just the way that God shows up in the midst of grief, and even in, hey, Dr. Tama, even in the saddest moments of the day, the saddest moments of the, and I can say this without a shadow of a doubt, every time I have either been in my car, at my desk, in my house, sitting down and going through like a deep, sorrowful moment, God always sends someone to call, text, email, Facebook message, whatever, like, in that moment, God always sends a word. And I say that to you all to say that sometimes, we can be afraid of going through these really dark moments of life because theoretically we know God is there. Like, we've read the Bible, we've read the text, but it's nothing like going through it to know God is going to be there. Like, I can tell you without a shadow of doubt, I don't know what you may go through or what you're going through, but and I'm not the only one that knows this, but God will send you what you need. You ain't got to be afraid. Love your hair. Thank you. You ain't got to be afraid of anything that comes your way. You ain't got to be afraid of anything that comes your way. I'm not saying it's going to be easy and you won't hurt, but you ain't got to be afraid. You do not have to wonder if God's going to be there. The Lord keeps showing up. The Lord keeps showing up. I got some people that ain't showed up. And so folk that's tripped, like even in this season, I got people that ain't showed up and ain't tripping. It's all good. I hold nothing in my heart against nobody. But my point is God's going to show up. And so on this Thankful Thursday, I'm thankful for being somebody's granny. I'm thankful for the journey called grief. Not that I want to grieve and not that I want anybody I know to grieve, but there is something about going through this journey that it just teaches you about God on a whole nother level, that you can really be down and the Lord will meet you. And so now when I read text like, talking about you're a witness, oh bless you. Like when David is writing Psalms from the pit, baby, let me tell you something. There's a couple of Psalms that David penned about his experience about being in a pit. Yeah, I get it. I get it now. I get it. When he said, this poor man cried out, Jesus. And so some of those texts come to life in a whole nother way. The many Psalms that deal with sorrow. And one thing that's been stuck on my mind, I'm not sure where it's at. I have to look it up, but it's about the children of Israel say something to the effect of, help me out, Dr. Tama, or some of you other scholars, Bible scholars, where the children of Israel say, how can we play our instruments? We're in a foreign land. I don't remember where that is. I just remember hearing Pastor Curtis preaching about being able to play in a foreign land, being able to play your instruments in a foreign land. I don't remember where that is, but the children of Israel make this claim, and I believe it's in Isaiah. But I'm not. Don't quote me on that. But their question is, because they're being asked to play their worship instruments. And so they ask the question, how can we play in a foreign land? How can we play our music at a time like this? And they have to usher up the ability to play their worship at a time like this. And so I've asked that question, Lord, how can I worship at a time like this? But I can tell you this, God will give you the ability to praise and to worship at a time like this. And so I've learned a lot about grief, right? But I'm thankful for the journey, not that I want to go through it and not that I would ever wish it on anybody else, but it's taught me so much about you can actually really rely on God. You can depend on God and God's going to be there. The Lord's going to show up and the Lord's going to give you everything you need. And so and grief takes, so I'm going to say that. I ain't going to go too deep into grief, but, cause I don't want to start crying. And then the last thing that I'm grateful for is just people, right? Like the graciousness of people, right? Hey, y'all, thank you, Lorana, for inviting your followers. Y'all invite your followers. Tap, 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 heart, love. But I'm also grateful for just the kindness of people. I can't, look, y'all, some of y'all are on. Some of y'all are on that have just been the outpouring of goodness. Man, let me tell you something. Human kindness. Wow. The way in which God has used people to pour out just human kindness, human goodness. And so, I just want to say thank you. Like, I have so much to be thankful for on this Thursday. So I just need to give God praise. I needed to say thank you out loud. I have a lot to cry about, but I have a lot to thank God about. And I really want to encourage everyone. If I can encourage you with anything, is to look outside of whatever you're going through. To challenge yourself to look outside of the pain of it, not to ignore the pain, but to look outside of the pain, the discomfort, the dis-ease, the bless you, God bless you too. Look outside of the disappointment, the difficulty of it all. Look outside of that and see where God's grace is at. Look outside of that and see where the goodness is at. Look outside of that and see where God is meeting you. Because sometimes we can get so locked into the pain and difficulty of whatever it is we're facing. Trust me, I'm clear. I'm not the only one grieving. Somebody on this scope right now, you might be grieving loss of a job, or maybe you've had someone else pass away recently or in times past, and holidays bring about a certain level of grief. Maybe you're just disappointed about a relationship, or the money didn't come through like you expected, and you can't do the things that you were hoping you can get done this year. I don't know where you're grieving. I don't know how you're facing loss, but I want to challenge you to look outside of the pain of it and see where God's grace is at. See where the goodness is at. See where, for lack of a better term, the silver lining is. See where favor is still active. See where blessed, outside of that circumstance, pay attention to where you're also blessed. Because it could be real easy for me and his dad to get locked into our grief, locked into our sorrow, locked into our pain. And trust me, it's plenty of it. Every time I see my son's picture, I'm like, my beautiful baby, my beautiful son, right? Just tonight, one of my younger cousins was over, and she had an old video clip, and I welled up tears and all that. But and so it's easy to get locked into what hurts the most. And so this is not to discount the hurt. I just want to challenge you tonight. Look outside of that and see where grace is at. See where goodness is at. See where the glory of God is at. See where God is meeting you and still giving you favors, still giving you blessings, still meeting you with everything that you need. You may not ever get what you want, but I promise you, God gonna give you what you need. And so as we're coming to the close of 2018, let me tell you something. Every day, every morning I wake up lately, I keep saying, I expected a lot of things at the end of this year, but this wasn't one of them. And so this year, it could be a total disappointment if I allowed it to become that. If I allowed it to become that, I could say, oh, this year is a total disappointment. It's a wash, right? Enough has happened. Enough has happened that I could say 2018, total loss, total wash, the pits. But it hasn't been. It's been the pits, but it's not the full pits. And I'm grateful God's given me the ability to look outside of the pain. And I just want to challenge you as we're coming to a close of 2018, whatever the disappointment is, whatever the pain is, whatever the loss is, whatever the sorrow is, whatever the hurt is, I want to encourage you to look outside of that and see where God is meeting you in any area that you can tell him thank you. In any area. And so every day I'm thankful for people who call and text and message and email and write letters and cards. I'm going to put up a post later tonight or tomorrow morning of just the little symbols. People have given me symbols of things to just offer. One lady wrote a bunch of happy faces on a card and was like, I just want you to smile again. Like that kind of human goodness, you can't buy that. You can't buy that. Where people, my cousin a friend of mine bought me a sweatshirt with a big old heart on it. And there's all kind of things. I got stuff hanging on my walls, and another friend gave me those winged earrings. Just the human goodness. So what I'm saying is, I'm going to challenge you before this year ends. Don't let whatever didn't go the way you expected it to go. Don't let the disappointment, don't let the pain, the hurt, the sorrow, the grief, the anger, the frustration, don't let any of it make you say or make you feel or think that 2018 was a wash or God didn't show up for you this year. I want to challenge you to look outside of that thing and see how God has met you where you can still say thank you. Where you can still say thank you. I could be consumed by my grief. I could be. And I don't think there would be anyone who would say, Najuma, you can't be consumed by grief. You know what I'm saying? Because this is every mother's worst nightmare, especially if you're a black mother and you've raised boys in the inner city. This is every black mother's worst nightmare, especially if you're raising sons in the inner city, urban communities, right? But God has still given me a reason to say thank you. And so I want to just encourage you as we come to a close, 2018, find a reason to tell God thank you. So I'm thankful for being somebody's granny. Get your granny t-shirts. I'm thankful for the journey of grief and what it's teaching me and what it's showing me about myself.